Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in for today's session, Automate Campaign Creation with Inventory Management in SA360. So today's session has two sections. First will be a broadcast of the pre-recorded session presented by our product team, and next will be the Q&A session hosted by me.
Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of our SA360 Live on Air series, where today we're going to look into a SA360 feature called Inventory Management. My name is Joost. I'm here joining you live from home in New York, and alongside me I have Bryan as well.
Hey everyone, thanks for taking the time to join us. I'm a product manager out of Washington, and I'm the product manager for inventory management. Really excited to talk to you about it today and hear your questions. So back to Joost to get us kicked off.
All right, cool. So with that, I'll put up some slides and give a quick overview of what we'll touch upon today. First, I'll kick it off with a quick intro in inventory management, what the feature is, but also what kind of business challenges you face it can help to address. Then I'll hand it over to Bryan, who's going to go a little bit deeper into the details of the feature. You can see this as the theory part, where we'll introduce a three-step approach that will allow you to conceptualize the feature and to understand and relate it to your business a little bit better. And after that, we'll go into some concrete use cases and see how some businesses can use this feature. At the end, we'll have time for live questions. So please do, throughout our presentation, add your questions into the chat box. We'll be happy to take a look at them and answer them. Some of you already submitted us some questions before our presentation as well. So we're looking forward to having some more dialogue at the end. So with that, let me jump in and look at a couple of challenges that many of our SA360 advertisers face when managing their search marketing efforts. The first one is that many businesses have thousands of products, and it can seem as a very daunting and very complex task to create personalized, customized ads for all of those products. Related to that, and especially in dynamic market times, dynamic supply levels can be a challenge as well. Advertisers want to make sure that they do not serve any ads for items, for example, that are out of stock or that were facing difficulty to deliver. Another aspect is around pricing, promotions versus evergreen pricing. Promotions nowadays run throughout the year, and we want to make sure that in our ads we can reflect the right pricing and the right promotions at the right time. And then a typical aspect of a enterprise level advertiser is that you manage a lot of complexity, a lot of campaigns and ad campaigns running across different engines, but also across different accounts. So having automation tools at your disposal to quickly scale across different engines and accounts is crucial. And then lastly, and perhaps also most importantly, we want to ensure that you can save your time to focus on the high value add activities and the strategic questions. So ensuring that we can automate kind of the manual task is a key challenge that this particular SA360 feature tries to address. Cool. So taking a first look at inventory management, we popped up the definition of our feature here, and I'll just read it out. In inventory management in SA360 can use the data of an inventory feed to generate search campaigns, ad groups, ads, keywords, and site links. And as that feed with inventory updates, SA360 will automatically update the generated campaigns and other items. So before going into more detail and handing it over to Bryan, I also want to introduce you to 3 of our friends who joined us for today. We have Leo, who's a marketing manager at Electronics Inc., which is a large electronics retailer. Then we have Margot, who's a paid search director at Oceanic Airlines. And lastly, Fatma, who's working at Stream It All, which is a online platform that provides streaming content on demand. And we'll use Leo, Margot, and Fatma towards the middle and end part of our presentation to kind of show how inventory management as a tool can be leveraged in various different scenarios with various different challenges and needs. And we'll go into a little bit more detail and see how these 3 friends here leverage the feature. So with that, I'll hand it over to Bryan to take us through a 3-step approach to inventory management.
Thanks, Joost. So inventory management is, to use it, it's broken up into 3 pieces, 3 phases. So the first phase is connecting a feed. As Joost mentioned, there's thousands of products or items that you're offering in advertising that you may want to be able to provide at scale. And so this feed encapsulates that content. And we'll jump into more of that in upcoming slides. Second portion is configuring the usage of that feed after it's brought into SA360 into templates within inventory management. Inventory allows you to use these feeds to power automation to allow you to scale and keep up with your ever-changing offerings over time. And then lastly, once you have everything up and running and configured, you might want to be able to do some last pieces of control or fine-tuning and also make sure that the system is working the way you'd like it to. So there's a phase of controlling and adjusting and also making sure that the output is as you desired. So let's jump into each of those. So the first one is feed setup. So for a feed, you might want to include contents like, what are the products that I'm offering? Some details around those products that characterize and make each one of them unique that you might want to customize ad copy or structure of your campaigns based off of. And also availability and pricing information, things that might you want to be able to keep up to date in your ad copy and be able to reference for when you want to advertise things or when you want them to be paused because they may not be available anymore. We'll touch on more of that later. So with the feeds, you can bring in your data into Google Merchant Center in order to capture your products, or you can also create a custom feed that captures your specific needs for your different companies. And so the data can, for the custom feeds, live in a CSV or an XML file and be brought in a number of different ways. And then you would connect those up to Search Ads 360 to make them available for inventory management to begin your automation portion of the steps. So let's jump into configuring of a template. So in step 2, you have the options of jumping into templates. So inventory management allows you to automate the construction of and management of campaigns and ad groups to figure out how you want to build out the structure of your campaigns and ads. And then you also have your copy components for text ads and responsive search ads, and then keywords and negative keywords to help build off of the products that are fitting into each one of these areas, and then Google site links in order to be able to additionally add more context to your ads when they're displayed for increased ad quality. So each of these templates has a 3-phase approach to getting set up. You configure the settings for the templates for inventory management. You create and customize the entities that you want to build, so you have your specific settings for each one of these, for example, campaign settings. And then you look at the results that you're going to produce, so that way you can get a feeling of what's going to happen, so you can move forward with high confidence of what the automation system is going to be doing for you. So let's jump into these components and how you use the templates in a little more detail. So first up, you configure the template settings. So the first part of configuring the template is connecting a feed source. So as we said, the feed contains your product information, what you want to advertise for. So you might want to hook up a feed for a certain product space, or you might want to set up a campaign for a certain area. So you can connect that feed, and then you can also filter to a certain area if you want to do brand-oriented or non-brand or any number of opportunities, so that you can focus your strategy of automation using your feed for a number of purposes. Once you have the feed connected, then you decide how you want to expand out. So let's say you want to use brand. You might want a campaign generated for every brand and an ad group within each brand for every product category. So you can easily set up the campaign to reference the brand column for the campaign template, multiplier, and the product category feed entry for the ad group template. And now your structure will automatically build out the appropriately aligned items at scale for you, and also keep it up to date based on changes in your feed. Once you have the multiplier set up, we move on to the next step, which is controlling and configuring the status of entities. So at this point, we're talking about the ability of inventory management to help you make sure that the ads and campaigns, ad groups, et cetera, that you have live and active are well in line with the items that you have available in your product inventory. So you may want to generate your campaigns based off the feed and have them start in a pause state so that you can do like a one last step of validation of what the automation is creating for you. That's a possibility. Also, once you're up and running, you may want to be able to have these campaigns and ad groups pause. So why not be able to do that using functions or controls? As it shows here, labels is the next thing that you can be able to do. So labels is an ability for us to start doing reporting features downstream. So to avoid having to do manual association of labels after the fact, inventory management can help you automatically assign labels to the entities that it creates. So campaigns and ad groups and ads that are created by inventory management to help you get downstream reporting capabilities and also rule automation, using the ability to align it with feed attributes to know how to apply the item. The same is true for applying business data values. So that way you can have business data oriented reporting, rules off of that as well, the same as labels aligned against your feed needs, and you can customize how you want these things to be automatically added for those downstream workflows. Lastly, the inventory management feature allows for another step, which is allowing the customer to get notifications based on when new things are created by the automation system. It can be nice to know when automation is working for you, and so that you can also take a look at exactly what it created over time, in case you want to have that like close checkup on how the automation system is running to make sure it's always doing what you're looking for. It also helps you downstream with adjustments. These settings make up like inventory management template settings that are special to allow automation to help you scale to your needs. Once you have these set up, you're able to use the additional like entity-specific settings in order to move forward. And we want to use this next section to talk through some of the ways that we can do customization of campaign settings and ad settings and so forth to help you meet your needs at scale. So in the first example here, we'll talk about the ability to customize landing pages at scale using inventory management. So let's say you set up a campaign and ad group using brand as your campaign structure and product category as your ad group structure. You may want your ads to align with how your website URLs are structured to bring the user to the optimal landing page when they click on your ad. So maybe you want to use brand in this example. So you can type in your website structure, your URL structure, and then insert the variable for your brand column. So that way, when we produce the items at scale, you might see a website for Pixel phones as a website that you would be taking the customer to from that click. And every the landing pages would be built off of the appropriate brand that is associated to your structure so that everything stays in alignment and also aligns well for that experience. Another example that we want to talk about, excuse me, is setting the ad group status. So for the ad group status, you might want to be able to say the category of content that I have in this ad group, well, it's no longer available. It's out of stock, or I'm discontinuing that area. So I want to pause that item. But without having to go in for management update, as you might have thousands of products going in and out of availability, this is here to help you do that at scale. So let's say you're able to you're selling video games and you have a sports game category. You can configure the ad group template to say when the availability column has a value of not available, that any ad group that is updated in your feed to have that value will automatically be paused. So for example, maybe your sports games are no longer available. They just are all out of stock. So when you update your feed, those ad groups can automatically be paused based on that condition that you define or based on raw availability. So next up, we want to talk about one additional example about ad copy. So with ad copy, you may want to be able to customize the exact language that's in your ad copy, and there's a number of ways you can do that. I want to walk through one example which allows you to kind of condition what kind of phrasing you want to use around describing the availability of your products based on some logic that you can provide. So let's say in this example, you're talking about cars, and you have a lot of cars in inventory. You might want to advertise that you have many cars available. But if the stock starts to go down, you may want to emphasize to your clients that maybe you should buy now, or consider converting sooner to not miss out. So you can conditionally have the same ad copy updated as your feed changes to swap the word many for limited without having to make any additional adjustments on your end. The system will automatically look for that change in your feed to apply the right term for your ad going forward. So these are just a few examples of customizations. You can get a lot more detailed in how you do it, and there's a lot of flexibility in how you go with this. Once you're here, though, you want to be able to preview what these are doing. These are just a couple samples. So the last part of templates are looking at a number of different items that would be generated or are attempted to be generated by these templates, so that you can get a feel at more scale of what is going to be produced. So in the app, you can see up to 50, and then you can get a look at more by downloading additional items. So that way you can look at a broad swath of what your templates will produce before you have to go live with it and build that confidence on what's going to happen. So now we've talked about how the templates work. Let's talk about the third stage of the work. Now you have everything up and running. You want to do more control. So you can tune your ability of what goes live. So you can start with pausing or automatically stopping items, as we've discussed more in the past. It's very powerful to make sure that you always are focusing your spend on the most valuable and in-stock items, or according to the logic that makes the most sense for your business. Then you may want to touch up campaigns as you look across what you generate. As we're building thousands of things, you may want to tune your messaging. So you can come back in and adjust how your ad copy is working in order to improve your overall performance and results by adjusting what you're looking for. So you can use this as a tool to be able to do those updates at scale. Understanding the system is important because as we're doing automation and producing many entities for you, campaigns, ad groups, ads, etc., you may want to be able to have a peek in as to how these templates are working for you. So we provide a view into what's being generated. Are there any challenges going on, so that you can move in and start to address them and make sure that you're getting the results that you're looking for. And lastly, just making sure that you can find those challenges and ideally be able to begin resolving them as needed when they should arise. So from here, we'd like to jump back into our use cases to provide a little more detail on how some of this might turn out for our friends that Joost introduced earlier.
Yeah, thanks, Bryan. Let me continue with Leo, Margot, and Fatma and take a look into how they can leverage inventory management for their particular challenges. So let's kick it off with Leo. Leo works at Electronics Inc., right, which is a large retailer of electronics products. Particular challenge that he has is that he has more than 100,000 products, and across those products also more than 1,000 brands, with all of those products being in that industry, ever-changing prices, and the importance of making sure that the ads can actually reflect the inventory at hand, but also the right type of product with the right price is very important for Leo. And given the vast amount of data and products that he has available, it's very challenging to try to fix this or set this up manually. Even with a normal bulk sheet, it's already a challenge to think through this whole structure and making sure that it's also updated regularly. So what he decides to do is take a look at how inventory management can help solve this challenge for him. Like Bryan introduced, we have 3 main steps: product feed creation, then the automation configuration using templates, and then we have a monitoring and controlling phase. So with the first phase here for Leo, he already has a product feed integrated or set up in Google Merchant Center. So he's going to leverage that existing feed and connect that feed to SA360 and to leverage that feed in inventory management. That feed has, details around all the products that he sells. It's regularly updated as well, and he will be able to leverage the brand, the category, the product characteristics, and all of that in the build out of his campaign structure, but also his ad copies, his keywords, and so on. So let's take a look at that configuration using those templates. So at a high level, one of the approaches that Leo can take here and that we kind of introduce is to leverage the product category column in his feed as the field used for creating campaigns. So he's going to leverage product category as the campaign multiplier that Bryan referred to. And this is going to automatically create a campaign for each product category. Let's say one for cameras, one for phones, one for thermostats. Then for the ad group, he's going to leverage the brand column. And since we can have many cameras of different brands, that brand multiplier, the ad group multiplier, is going to create for each of those campaigns that represent a category, it's going to create different ad groups per brand. Now, something that I didn't mention in the beginning, but Leo also has a need to be able to report across all his products, but also by brand across the different categories. So a feature that Bryan highlighted earlier, in his ad group template, Leo is going to also immediately associate the right business data to that ad group using that brand column, so that at a later stage, when actually evaluating the performance of his campaigns, he's going to be able to slice and dice his data by this brand across the various product categories or any other entities, and seeing how conversions, how clicks, how all the metrics that he's tracking are reported by that entity. In terms of keywords, he will leverage the product data and the product characteristics that he has available within his feed to generate a good long list of keywords. And for the ad copy, he's going to leverage the entities from above, like the brand and the product category in the ad copy. And that will result in our end user seeing a customized and relevant ad with a dynamic ad copy. That could look like something: Nest being the brand, thermostats the category, starting at a most updated and relevant price of $199. And so by connecting his feed, setting up kind of a scalable template, Leo is able to, with ease through automation, embrace that complexity of his feed and generate that in highly relevant and customized ads. I'll hand it over to Bryan now to take a look at how Margot can leverage inventory management.
Great. So Margot is working at Oceanic Airlines. She has the need to be able to have her campaigns scale with all the changes that are coming for routes and availability, how many flights a day are going on, class of plane that is moving through, to be able to provide like clear information to her user, to be able to sell tickets, and also to be able to provide differentiating information within the ads to make them as relevant as possible to the end user. So in order to bring this forward and like optimize for efficiency in what routes are being populated into advertising that's active, she pulls together a feed, as we talked about in step one. She gathers her feed together that captures her route information. So she might bring in things that are related to an origination city, a destination city, to capture routes, the type of planes or volume that there is on a certain connection, and then be able to pull that together with availability and pricing, so that availability can help their ads stay relevant and timely with what is available, so that Oceanic Airlines stays up to date and effective on what they're advertising versus what they actually have available for customers to buy, and also keeping ad copy aligned with what we should be focused on from a target advertising goals. So in order to use that data, they go into setting up inventory management templates. So once that data is connected in, They begin by setting up their campaigns and ad group templates and then move on to their ad copy and keywords. So from a campaign perspective, Margot focuses on bringing in destination city as her campaign structure. So by using the destination city column in her feed, she's able to automatically generate one campaign per destination city. That allows her to evaluate downstream the performance of each destination as a result of those campaigns that are generated. She also wants to like tailor how advertising is working. So she sets up ad group to be focused on origin city. So now she has a pairing of each destination with the origin city at the ad group level. So that allows a focus on the route attention so to identify how that is functioning for her as well. Once she has that set up, she moves into her ad piece where she can set up ads to be customized with the price column so that users can see how much maybe the lowest price for these flights are to a specific destination. And so that way the price information can always be updated, and a destination that becomes no longer available, maybe because seats are unavailable, that route can be paused until they become back into the area of interest. She may also want to customize that ad with additional information to motivate customers to buy sooner if the flights have fewer than 15 seats remaining. She could also use that information to add additional copy into her ads to further customize the messaging based on the route at scale without having to do tweaks along with availability. So that would result in an end user seeing an ad that looks something like $79 for flights to Seattle, few seats left when there's fewer than 15. And before there are fewer than 15, it would just say $79 flights to Seattle. So that way there's flexibility in what that ad produces. It also helps Margot hit her goals of driving seat sales, but also allowing this ad to go paused when the availability has gone out of stock. So from here, we'll jump back to Joost to take us through one more use case.
Yep, thanks, Bryan. All right, our last example was Fatma. Fatma works at Stream It All, which is a on-demand online business that provides streaming content, which can go from educational videos, sports videos, or sports live streaming better, and then some movies, right? And all of that on demand. The uniqueness or the unique aspect around this business is that regularly a lot of new content is added, and that content is very different from the other content. There's always a new sports game with different players compared to the previous sports game. In terms of movies, we can highlight and have specific actors in those movies that Fatma may want to highlight to her users that are looking for great on-demand content. So let's take a look at some of the things that we can highlight from inventory management that can help her. The first step is the product feed creation, right? So here it's important that Fatma thinks about what are the aspects of my products or my services that are important to include in my marketing activity, and I want to make sure that I have that available in my feed. Things that dynamically change and that I can update should be included there. So in this case, across the different categories of streaming content, this could be the sports players that are in a certain game, or actors within a movie, the genre of the movie, any topics or kind of keywords associated with the type of content, but also more practical details around, what's the date, what's the timing, what's the price for that streaming content. So that's all in her feed. She hooks that up to SA360, and then she turns to the configuration of the automation using the templates. So won't go into detail, but similarly to the previous two examples, Fatma could take an approach of generating a campaign per broad streaming category, and then below that, using a subcategory, create some more granular constructs using the ad groups to then create keywords and ad copies for that. And what's very useful for Fatma here is that as new streaming content becomes available, and as that content can have new and unique factors, she's able to generate or use that information to generate new keywords, right? So she's going to leverage, for example, the actor name in combination with the type of movie or the genre of the movie to generate very specific keywords and ensure that she can find the users that are looking for the content that she has available. In addition, she's able to leverage those fields in the ad copy as well. So as an example here, there could be a new type of subcategory, category type of movie that is on demand including a particular article with the title of the movie. So that the end user sees a dynamic ad like new action movie on demand, including Tom Cruise, Top Gun 3. And she's able to generate loads of ads across all the different type of content that she provides. Cool. All right. Now that we gave you an intro to inventory management and the kind of challenges, business challenges it tries to address, after Bryan kind of walked you through that 3-step approach of how to set up an inventory management project, and then after deep diving into a couple of use cases, we'd love to take some time to answer some questions from you.
So hello again. Today, your Q&A host will be me. My name is Yeva, and I'm technical specialist for SA360. Currently, I'm based in Amsterdam, and just wanted to thank you for all the questions that have been sent in. First, let's kick it off with business data. Can we use business data values in ad copy templates? So right now, the inventory management templates are focusing on using feed content and not the business data content. Other product you might know is the ad builder that is actually focusing on business data values. There you can fully leverage the creation of ads with these dynamic values. Second question we have for today is how are the ads of inventory management created? Is it similar to DSA ones? Thank you for the question. It's a really good example to mention that first, ads are created in an automated way. And second, that you're in total control of how the ads are created. So you will be introducing what are the automation settings to create ads in a bulk. So you remain in a full control of this. I think this is the main difference between the DSA and inventory management. Next question we have, how can we test inventory management in a controlled way? That's also a very good one. Thank you for sending it in. Regarding testing, well, you can begin with exploring the feature with applying filters for the feed. What I mean is that if you have a filter for all your inventory, you can apply a couple of filters saying that maybe you will start with 2 or 3 different categories. Once you're more familiar with the templates, how it works, you can really easily manipulate the filters and then just change the scale of how much of the feed is being used. There are also some features that can give you extra layer of control. For example, if you check the box to create the campaigns in a post state, you can review them and maybe add some extra targeting options when you're comfortable to set them live as well. We have a Help Center article that can help you review what in account items you can create with inventory management and what can be edited or what should be opt out from editing to maintain the automation. So please refer to that to have a more clear view as well. Next question is, what degree of manual inputs do we keep while using inventory management? Well, if you generate items, you can go to more granular level and could take back as much manual control as you like. For example, if you want to, let's say, have a specific ad that you edit manually and opt out of automation, that's absolutely your option. You can do that. And you have availability to opt in or opt out to the automation control at any time. Templates also allow you to use static text in combination with the dynamic parts. Dynamic being the feed content specifically, and static text, something that will be consistent across all the ads that you wish. How does the creation of keywords work? Great question to follow. So we have different templates. We have keyword templates and negative keyword templates. Those will bring you different possibilities. So for example, if you take from feed specific columns, specific attributes, you basically are calling out what will be the specifications of the products or services that you will define your keywords by. So all the appropriate brand or category specific attributes, you can set the settings how you want to create the keywords as well. This is the automation part, but you still keep the control by changing what the keywords will be in the feed. You can also review what the template has generated, and you can tweak the output as you wish. Next question, can we copy templates across engines? Yes. Currently, we have an option to copy templates, and it's possible to do across different engines as well. We have a Help Center article that you can refer to because there are some examples how the copy can be established. We have 3 different options, so you can choose either this one specific template to copy. You can also choose to reuse templates. For example, if you copy only the campaign template, the structure under, that is ad groups, ads, and keywords, you can either use to reuse, or you can copy and have those templates as independent setup. So please refer to the Help Center article because there's really great explanation and more visual maybe than I can describe in a nutshell now. But you have these options and they are really great to explore. Next question we have for today is, what are the best practices to keep in mind when starting with inventory management for the first time? Well, there are a few things that I would start with. For example, feed quality. Feed quality seems like an easy thing, but think of the naming conventions and what content you want to keep in the ad copy. Those items that you want to keep dynamic, what is in the feed, what is the quality of the input, will be exactly the output as well. While you remain in control for the template settings and what will be the output, I think the good preparation of the feed is really a key here. Secondary items that I would think about is probably, could be applied either inventory management, being in use, or creating campaigns in a manual way. What I would consider is marketing targets and reporting. So how do you want to structure your budgets, marketing target split, and how these campaigns will be helping you to achieve these goals? So for example, if you will be setting bid strategies, just keep in mind what settings and what granularity you have to have. So by creating inventory templates, your created account structure will facilitate those goals the best way. Maybe one more point is the engine limits to take into account. How many campaigns are possible to create on specific engine, and what are maybe the characters that are allowed or are not allowed. So this will connect what is in your feed as well. So make sure that the data that you provide is actually compatible with all the settings that you'll be using. I think those would be the main considerations to keep in mind. Next question, what are the best practices for inventory management maintenance? I think this is closely related to the previous question, like what to consider for inventory management setup first time. So I would add all of those, and for maintenance would maybe check if there are any errors on the templates. Other very important part is to make sure that the feed is frequently updated, because feed will be managing your campaigns, and for example, if there is no availability of the products that you're advertising, those will be directly impacting the campaigns that are running. So just make sure that the content is up to date, there are no errors. You can also set up the email alerts to overview what items newly have been created. And before setting those live, you can also check what are the targets, if there are any budget constraints, and so on. So I think maintenance should be pretty easy as long as everything is running smoothly from the beginning. Couple more questions for today, and the next one is, after changing a template, will changes update prior created campaigns accordingly? I would split here the answer in two categories. So there are two categories of changes. One that updates new and existing items, and second category of changes that applies only for newly created items. So bear with me for a second here. The first category is where you can change, for example, status, or maybe the name of a campaign or ad group, maybe even ad copy content. Those changes will be applied for existing items and for the items that will be created onwards with the new feed entries. The other section, second part, is if you will be changing budgets or labels or maybe bid strategy settings. Those are the settings that will be applied for only newly created items. As long as the campaigns remain opted in the automation, the changes will be applied. So I would like to refer you here as well to double check what are the under which category or item of what you're considering to change is falling under. There's a Help Center article explicitly explaining which of the items are manual edit compatible and which ones are not. We will share in the chat if not already, and please check when in doubt. And last question for today is, what do you think about Ad Builder, Inventory Management, and Business Data in combination? Oof, that's a big one. So I would say that probably there's no point to combine all of these three together, because, well, let's think of what kind of changes you want to do in your account. If you want to create hierarchical structure of your account, meaning campaigns, ad groups, ad copies, and keywords, that's the whole structure we're talking about. So inventory management would help the best way. And business data are items you can apply within inventory management templates, so you can use that for better advanced reporting. If we would think about expanding accounts more horizontally, meaning that creating more ad copies, then probably it's a good combination to have Ad Builder and business data. Because with business data applied on either campaign or ad group level, you can have more dynamic inputs to the Ad Builder. So these are separate combinations, and since inventory management already has the ad copy automation part, I don't think that these features should overlap at some point. So think of these combinations into different settings: inventory management and applying business data, or Ad Builder and using business data for dynamic inputs. I hope that answers in a nutshell. I hope you agree to these recommendations. And thank you very much for listening to today's session. Have a great day.